Hello Bookles, my name is Cam and I'm back at it again with another writing tip video. God, let me tell you, it is so hot today. Today I'm discussing something that is really commonly asked within the writing community, and that is, how long should my book be? Allow me to explain. Roll the intro. So this is something that a lot of people ask other writers, and it's something that when I was writing my first book, The Architects of the Gifted, The Scarlet Reaper, I found myself Googling a lot and I was trying to find an answer, and my question was, how many pages should my book be? It turns out I was actually asking the wrong question, because pages can vary depending on the font size, the type of font, line spacing, a whole bunch of stuff involved in the way the pages turn out. So the question I should have been asking is, how many words should my book be? I want to tell you in advance that nothing I say in this video is set in stone, because it can depend on your writing style, but I feel like I've got a pretty good template for you guys to use, so definitely worth keep watching. So just for reference for you guys, the first book I published, The Scarlet Reaper, this is about the size you're looking at here. I used Garamond 12 for the font. There's a line spacing of 1.15 on Microsoft Word, and it ended up being around 200 pages. So that's what 200 pages looks like. And the size itself was 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So that's kind of a reference there. And the amount of words I had for this one was just shy of 60,000. So it ended up being around 200 pages. My second one, The Whisper War, was closer to 75,000 words, and it had the same font and line spacing, all that kind of stuff, same book size, but it's definitely a lot bigger, as you can see. But as you can see, it pretty much depends entirely on the amount of words you're using as to how you should be adjusting the length of your book. Don't worry too much about page count for the time being. So word count can depend on basically the genre to start off with, for how long your novel as a whole should be. For example, I find that, horrors, with a few exceptions, should be kept short, either a short story or basically you'd be looking more to about the 200 pages, I would say, maybe around this. That's my personal preference with horrors, just because you don't want to... The way horrors work and the way you keep your story scary is if someone can do that in one sitting. If they have to revisit it later, it'll kind of cut in the middle of the fear there and the mood. Now notice I say horror and not thriller, because thriller is a completely different situation. Thriller depends on building a very strong kind of storyline, and then obviously capping it off at the end with a twist or a reveal. So that would definitely involve having your story carry out a bit longer. So horror, I'd probably try to keep it around 50,000 words. Thriller, you can basically go a bit crazy with that, and I would take it up to probably around the 70, 80, maybe even 90,000 words. The stories that I find are going to be the longest and should be the longest are fantasies, and obviously mine is a fantasy, and in this case it ended up quite small, but with really intricate plots and, fictional creatures, fictional worlds, basically where you're building an entire world that is not so much similar to the world we live in, where you have to describe everything. They're going to be upwards to around the 100,000 words, up to about 150,000 words. You probably don't want to push it anywhere past that, especially if it's the first book you're putting out, because that is a massive commitment for the reader, and they might not want to make that commitment if this is the first book they're picking up by you. You need to build the fan base first, and then take the leap with that. So there's a few different, I suppose you'd call it, names for types of stories. So you've got flash fiction, which is generally around 1,000 words at a maximum. Then you've got short stories, which can go up to about 10,000 words. Probably don't want to take it anywhere past 10,000 words for a short story. Novelettes go up to about 20,000. Then novellas go up to about 40,000. And then anything more than that would be considered a novel. The best way to get an idea of how long your book should be is find another popular book in the same genre as yours and find out how many words it is. All you need to do is pretty much Google it. and it will tell you how many words that is, then try to aim for that as a template. And it is okay to do that, because this gives you an idea of the pace of the story and how quickly you should be tying everything together in a knot. There is no harm in taking example from popular writers because they know what they're doing. Lastly, when it comes to chapters themselves, how long should the chapters be? This is something else I've had a few people ask me, and I find that a good template for this is you'd be looking around for a fast-paced chapter where there's a lot of action happening, maybe a fight or anything like that. Keep it to around the 3,000 words mark. That keeps it at a really good momentum and a really good pace, and basically segues into the next chapter perfectly. That's what I've found. So I'd definitely say 3,000 for fast-paced action scenes. For any real emotional or descriptive chapters though, where maybe you're doing some major character development, working on some romance, try and aim for maybe upwards to about 5,000 to 6,000 words for that chapter. A lot of writers keep every chapter around the same length consistently, but I find there is no harm at all in shifting the word count on each chapter so that you get the pacing right. Pacing is so important and so underrated when you're writing books, and the way you do pacing is entirely with your word counts and having word count goals. Anyway, that pretty much covers it. I hope that answers any questions anyone has. Obviously, if you have any more questions, all you need to do is leave a comment. As always, thanks for watching. If this video helped you even a little bit, make sure you give me a thumbs up. You can ask me any questions via the comments here or my social media links, my Goodreads, Tumblr, or Twitter. I do about 3 videos a week, so that you can keep up to date with those videos, make sure you join the Wolfpack and subscribe. That's me done. Catch ya. I don't even know whose glasses these are. I think someone just left them in my house. I cannot see shit.